But I've got something to get up for. I welcome it.
Got a phone call coming, but I'm gonna turn it off. So how are you?
I'm pretty good. Yeah,
What's new and exciting?
I choose that response. What's new?
Yeah.
The aging in my body is new each day. It seems. No, I'm fine. There's nothing. I'm not really involved in anything. It's kind of strange for me because I've always been involved.
Yeah.
Always been involved my whole life. But this is different. The world is different.
Yeah.
You know, and being at a different age and body condition due to age, it's like makes everything different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Mm.
you know, it is what is. And I choose to be up about it. Because anything else would be stupid. How about you? What's going on with you?
What's going on with me? I'm getting the working on the expo stuff. So that I'm doing we're celebrating for 9 weeks the World Expo that happened here in 1974. And it was the first sustainability World Expo. And I'm on the sustainability pillar. And I got on because of the Soil Smart stuff. It's sort of taken over. And so it's an advertising opportunity. So I'm using it and trying to put together a program that will do that. And that's so I've done the website and the Facebook page, and I'm writing a grant, which I'm going to submit today. And see whether I get the money I am hoping to get in order to do some of the things I need to do. And if not, we'll just punt around that. Well, I don't know what it'll look like. We'll see. So I'm doing that.
So give me some more unpack a little bit, like your celebrating or bringing back into consciousness the 1974 Expo, the first Expo. Is that
well, that's what the city's doing? Yes.
The city is, and your soil smart project that you're attempting to get a grant for.
Mm-hmm.
You're bringing into that initiative the Expo.
Yeah, I'm using that as a way to start educating people in Spokane about the benefits of enlivening the soil they have charge of. So that's the program. And because I started at the city level, actually trying to get the city of Spokane to do that. And while they've put that off potentially for a year, we'll see where that goes. I mean, they're still excited about it. They're just distracted. And they've got budget issues, which makes them feel like they can't spend money. But I know that's not true. I know they'll spend money when they want to. So it's just them seeing the real value of this and the necessity of it. So that may happen over time. But it made me realize that I could expand to other cities. I don't have to think about just Spokane. So I set up the website to do that. And then I was talking to a friend of mine in Wisconsin, and her husband happens to be head of the Department of Public Works for a very small town. And he's interested. So I'm going to reach out to him today and see if that goes anywhere. Because he can pay me to help him think about doing that for his town.
What is your overall objective in this?
Getting people to understand that they have a responsibility and a capacity to bring the soil alive that they have control of, and that there's a benefit to the larger area when they do that, when enough people do that. So I'm actually creating a movement of people who want to get involved with their soil
Bless
and
your
understand
heart.
how that is and why that is and the benefits of doing so. So the small water cycle, the biotic pump, how that works, how we contribute to it, how we destroy it, and so we can repair it. Yeah.
And you live in a city that isn't conscious of what you're about and needs to be more conscious of the soil.
Nobody's conscious of it. Very few people are. Yeah, and because it's a big thing. It's not a little thing, but little things can make the big thing happen. So residents of the city can all contribute. And that's sort of the goal, is to get them to all contribute, to create a program that's enticing, exciting, interesting, so that you can really up the level of engagement for residents in the city. Which is why I'm thinking of this more as a city program, even though it's all about individuals doing stuff. But if a city or county took it on as something they wanted their residents to do, it would have huge benefits for that area. And if they can understand the benefits, if we want water, if water's of interest to anybody, then this is how you get it.
You get water by, what's the rest of that with soil in the sentence?
Well, it's plants that give us rain. And it's soil that provides water in the ground. So streams and creeks come from water in the soil. So if you want water, you have to have a rich, enlivened soil in order to hold the water. And then all the other benefits come. But you have to do that first.
Are there other pioneers that you could name that are?
Yeah, and in fact, on the network, there is a on the network under soil, there's a wonderful article I found. Konji Yu, I believe, is his name. He's a guy in China, and he has gotten China to do this. So he's calling it sponge cities, creating sponge cities and so China has got this whole movement of making the land more porous, more able to hold water. And yeah, it's a lovely article. And he talks about very, very clearly all the benefits to do that. So it's in the soil section of the website.
One of the things that attracted me to Barbara Marx Hubbard was her languaging of the Conscious Evolution Initiative. The term she used was pioneer, pioneers on the frontiers of consciousness. And I offer that to you, see if it fits in some kind of way, because you are a pioneer. This is a pioneering movement.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see how you can play with that to see.
Okay.
I've got your slogan. Let's get our hands dirty.
Yes, yes. Get your hands in the dirt. Yeah, the tagline is revitalizing Earth.
I mean, something like that, something along those lines. It's amazing how people can pick up on it.
That's right.
Exactly.
Starts movements.
I mean, it excites the most obvious question. Why should I be doing that? Yeah. Well, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So why this project as opposed to, well, there's two questions in here, but I can only do one at a time. To get people, I mean, building community is the ultimate to me.
Yeah.
In any pioneering effort that we do. So what's I don't know quite how to ask.
Well, community comes through the, and this is why it's important, I think, to do this at a city or county level, because it creates a community of people who are doing this. It creates a goal that everybody has, that everybody can see and share in, and that everybody will benefit from. And some of these things, like the mini forests, take a community. It's not something one person can do. You have to have a bunch of people involved in that. They have to figure out the plants. They have to go find them. You have to plant them. That's a community effort. It takes a bunch of people to plant it. So there's just lots
It
of
also
places.
filters down to the zoning, the planning and zoning department.
Yes.
Because, that's where all those rules about keeping your lawns mowed and,
Yeah.
keeping down native growth.
Yep. Yep.
Say more if
Well,
you to educate.
and Spokane just got $12 million to plant trees.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're going to be doing a lot of tree planting, and they have no interest in soil at all. One of them said, well, we throw in a cup of biochar. Well, if it's not charged, that biochar will actually take from the soil because it has to fill its holes in order to give. So it will take first, unless you fill the holes first when you put it in. I don't know that she knows that. So she's actually undermining the health of the tree for a year until that char becomes charged, and then it will give back. But I don't know that she knows that. She's just doing it because she heard biochar is good. And I mean, there's a lot, a lot of education that can happen. Yeah. So that's part of what I'm trying to do. I'm going to have a biochar. I hope to have a biochar talk, a panel of folks, and I'm hoping to get a university to support it that has an interest in biochar so we can develop it here. There's one in Evanston, and I don't know how far away Evanston is. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the town. I haven't Googled it to see the distance. And then there's a group in Oregon. Those are the only two places I found that are actually producing biochar. And so I'm trying to get them to come to town so we can talk about their differences, because they have different approaches, and how we can utilize it here. And there's interest in the ag community on it, but it hasn't solidified enough to make it economically viable. And I've got a guy who does composting on a massive level. He's the regional composter. He's perfectly willing to do biochar if he felt he could sell it. So if we can create a market for it, then we can do that, which would be really great. So we'll see.
I applaud your approach and think that there may be a better context to make it happen, that context being building community. Because biochar doesn't turn me on. The idea of
it would if you understood it.
Well, and let me finish. Okay. Biochar does not turn me on, and I don't think it turns many people on, whether we understand it or not, because we don't understand it, because it doesn't turn us on. It doesn't attract us. The word does not attract us, but community does. Community does. So let me finish, if I could, please. Because I'm talking from Meg Wheatley and my experience with Barbara, and that
I have a problem with Meg, but that's okay.
it's community. I believe community is the answer, not biochar. But community can come together around biochar or anything.
Yeah.
But it's the idea of people coming together as community that is more inspirational and invitational than an idea of biochar and soil. To me,
Well, then that's your path. Then
okay.
you need to do that. Yeah. Yeah,
So
I
you
have found, I have found, I mean, and this is my current experience. We'll see where it goes. But when I start talking about water and soil, there are a whole community of people who resonate with that.
Okay.
And so they're willing to come forward and to do stuff. And that is a community creating thing. I'm not creating community. The community is a result of their interest and their actions. It's inherent in it, but I'm not saying I'm creating community. That's not my language. That's not what I'm doing. But it is the design, the kind of competitions between groups of people and all that is all community making. So I'm not against community in any level, but for me, I don't start there. You start there. So that's your path. You should do that. Because that is what juices you. That's where you get your energy. So you just need to figure out a way to do that if that's what you want to do. But I mean, the groups that I'm in, everybody wants community, and it's just this elusive thing because there's nothing to do together, which is part of community. It's not just being together. I mean, I'm in groups where we talk like this, and this is fine for a point, but then there's a point when you get antsy, you want to do something, you want to make it more real in some way, and it's really hard when we're not co-located. You know, it's really hard. Some groups are doing books. I've seen that happen, you know, or writing a paper. So there's a project that you can do like that, and that's a way of creating community too. I mean, we're always kind of trying to figure that out. I'm in another group where they're on the edge of trying to figure out how to create a mutually supportive community for people with different projects, which is what the Coming Home Project started out to be. We'll see if it ever gets there. So that people can come and say, I'm doing like I am doing this. You know, I just need to hear that it's okay. I need to know that I'm on the right path. I need your ideas for solving this problem, that there's a group that is willing to do that with me. So there's another group that's looking at creating that. The transition ER, I think, is going to morph into something like that. They've been kind of walking around it and what are they now that Joe's not there? Because Joe is a driver. So how are they going to create energy in this group of people? And they're still working on that. So I think community is there in lots of ways, but it usually has a purpose, and that's the elusive piece. Is why are you together?
Right.
Yeah. And so that's for me what the soil is. It is an excuse to get together and to recognize other people who share a common interest. And to educate people about why that interest is valuable and how they can contribute to the greater whole if they have the interest in doing that.
The term that just came to me was soil-centric community.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it amazes me that we're on a planet that is struggling to maintain life at the level life has been here. And we kind of think it's somebody else's job to do that. And it isn't. It's the job of a life on the planet to keep life here. That is our job. That is our job. And so this is one way to start stepping back into that job to notice life and to start keeping life on the planet, being responsible for life in the soil, and see where it goes. Once we really care enough for the life, then maybe we'll start acting like that and not doing things that take life. Because we'll really notice that it's eliminating life, and we don't want that. We want more of life, not less. Theoretically, hopefully. I just got off a call. A wonderful lady. She's just amazing. She's clairvoyant, and she has come to her own conclusions about the guides and stuff that she has been working with. And she sees all of them as ETs. She believes that all of the information that has come in through saints and scientists and all these special people has been information that's been given to them, made available to them by others. And sometimes those others are called angels or guides, or they've just got all sorts of different names. And she just feels those are all the way we understand our communication with people who are not of this earth.
Who are
Now,
not
of this earth.
visitor.
Yeah, that are galactic in some way. And she really feels we're stepping into that community, which is why they're being so obvious at this point. It was just lovely. It was just lovely. That is very interesting.
It turns me on to know that we're cosmic, that
Mhm.
that the Earth is a galactic entity,
Right.
and we are cosmic in origin.
So
I
the
like-
question is, do we want to be cosmic and devastating or cosmic and life enhancing? That's kind of where we are.
Well, that's a whole different.
No, it's not whole different. It's quite there, you know. Yeah, it's really quite the thing. And this has been my understanding too, that the negative energies are really there to test us, to see where you are, what you want, you know, and to give us the power to say no to them. And if we keep our agency, then they're not a big issue. If we don't keep our agency, then you get all enmeshed and all that kind of garbage. And it's a choice, you know. You can do that. People do. You know, they hear voices, and the voices tell them to do nasty things, and so that's the expression that juices them in some kind of way, or they feel they have to do, but you don't. I mean, that's the lesson, is that you don't have to do that, but you have to say no to it. You can't ignore it or pretend it's not there. You have to say no, and then it's not there. Yeah. And she's got lots of stories in her own life about that too. She she talked about an entity at her home that had been with her all her life, and then it followed her when she left and moved into her own house and stuff. And she finally discovered that that entity was really her mother's fear of what she was doing, and that her mother was trying to keep her away from her own intuition and all that kind of stuff. And when she discovered that, she told her mother, and it disappeared, because she took her own agency and said, I don't want to play this game. I don't have to. And she doesn't. That's what agency is all about. You don't have to do what you don't want to do. You just got to be clear. Yeah.
That that
Hi,
kind
Mark.
of information that Robert,
Kind of snuck in there. So hello, good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon.
see that kind of that gets me off the track of earth-centric, soil-based community building stuff. So I try not to.
Well, it shouldn't. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of confusion about what what human beings are to this planet. Some people think we evolved out of the slime along with the monkeys and everything else, and that bothers them. Others think that somehow there was some divine intervention, that suddenly there was man fully formed. But nobody's ever answered the question of why we're here. Stewardship comes up, but stewardship is still I, thou,
Yeah.
back away, you're something else. Maybe if I'm a good person, I will take care of you. No, I think it's much more ingrained than that. I'm very familiar with, with forms I would call angelic, of consciousness, that this is all a consciousness. We're not talking about physical planes somewhere else. And the fact of the matter is that we have a job to do, which is to receive those emanations of consciousness, whatever you want to call them, the brain, the sudden brain explosions that, genius,
The ahas, yes.
We pick them up. That's our job. My cat doesn't pick up anything like that. She just goes
Well, I
back.
think they do,
Well,
actually.
maybe
We
she
should talk
does, but
about
she
that.
never
We could talk
expressed it to me. We have language for a reason. So given all that, I mean, it seems so obvious. And that's why I really love the course of your discussion so far, which is how do you implement something out of this that really cares for the earth, but also draws a community together and also creates interest, but interest that's honed by actual work, by actually doing something, because we're also wired that way. We're not just raw consciousness. We are manifest here in physical bodies doing physical things. And for many people, that's all there is. But there's just so much, there's such an interchange. It's such a dynamic thing.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I really think we're talking about something very central to what humanity is to this planet. And we're capable, obviously, of destroying the planet now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if we were to truly revert to being receptive, to those emanations, and different people have different ways of doing it, and that's just fine by me. But if we're receptive, we really have something we can do that's productive and useful to the planet, to life as a whole. That's one of the reasons I hang out with you. Because you're interested in life. It's the central here.
Yeah.
It's so I applaud what you're doing. And I think they are all interrelated. But you're right. You can get off on a tangent, start talking about space people. I mean,
and our minds can get off on a tangent. I think that's one of the issues we have now is could phrase it as truth. What's real? What's true? And it's like murky as heck unless you're really tangibly tied to real life, the actual life on the planet. That's where truth absolutely resides. Only truth works there. You can't lie about it. You can't imagine, you can't play with it. It is what it is. It makes life or it doesn't make life. It's just one or the other. Yeah. And it's really clear. And so I think that's a wonderful touchstone to come back to start over again from what's real, what actually works, what brings forth life, to make that a central perspective and sensitivity so that when you do something, you're conscious of whether you're thriving or not thriving. And you're going to go for the thriving piece because you're now sensitive to that, aware of it. You can see it happen in front of you, kind of thing. instead of up here of, oh, well, it could do this, it could do that. Yes, those are all coulds. And what's real? What actually works here?
Yeah.
It's just a way of cutting through that. All that anger and stuff doesn't work. I mean, when you really look at it, you can carry all that crap and you can be mad and do all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't, there's no production. It's only destruction that happens out of that. So it's not functional.
Yeah, well, I was going to say there's nothing more exciting, you know, and exhilarating actually than to go out in back here and, you know, work the soil and see that it's just teeming with
Yeah.
life, surrounded by birds and bees and all the bugs.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Which, you know, I don't know how much you guys have noticed, but you just have to drive along a highway and you notice that there are very few insects anymore.
Yes.
I mean, this has got to be a wake up to people if you only think about it. They just aren't there, and the birds are absent, except where there are areas of refuge for them.
Right. So the mini forests bring that back.
These are just happening, you know, you know, even in the city. I mean, where there are trees, there's plenty of wildlife.
Except there is actually a tree called the land tree that New York has planted tons of.
No,
That seems to be, nobody likes it. Nobody eats it. There's no bugs. So, I mean, you know, so from a city perspective, woo.
No, I was thinking here in Atlanta where the creeks were naturally separated into various water districts, and the trees are native by and large, you know, 100%, 90% anyway, and yeah, there's plenty of life in there.
Yep. So the mini forests bring that back. So that's why the program I like, because it gets people's hands in the dirt and it raises awareness on all these things because you can see it tangibly, physically in front of you. It's not a question. It's not, you can actually see that you can bring this back, that the work that you do can revitalize the planet. That's a lot of agency. It makes us feel good. It's a real connector. And that you've done that with other people and you've shared that experience. I think it's fabulous. So I'm kind of excited about the whole thing. It does so many things without having to proselytize or convince people or change their minds or any of that. The earth will change their mind as they work it, you know. I
did look just while you guys were discussing one particular point. I went to Google Earth, and Everson, your source of biochar, is about 30 miles from Bellingham. So it's quite a ways from you.
Oh man, she's on the other side of the mountain then too. That's not good. So it's unlikely she'll come. Yeah, this Oregon is not that difficult to get here. I mean, you know, it's a day's drive, but it's not hard. You have to worry about the mountain or any of that. But coming across the mountain is a big chore.
Yeah.
And she's had all sorts of trouble. She's been sick. Her husband's been sick. So I haven't talked with her yet, but thank you. I should have done that earlier, but I didn't.
In an effort of my own conscious evolution, I have a book from Amazon on its way, What It's Like to Be a Bird.
Yeah.
Because I'll learn. And my perspective will open.
Yeah.
Because being human is kind of restrictive as a life form on Earth at the stage we're at, because we're not matured yet. We're the youngest species, as far as I've read, on the planet. And we have a ways to go to mature as much as the other life forms.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the older life forms like whales and other beings that have been around for a while, they don't destroy stuff. They just play, and they're not angry that much, although we're starting to see some changes in the animals who are starting to get a little ticked with how we are treating them, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, there's a pod of orcas that is now destroying boats. They've sunk 4, I think, because a boat killed the baby of matriarch of the pod, and so she's been irritated with that. We haven't seen that ever before, and it's like everybody is telling us to quit, to stop being the idiots that we are. Yeah. So we just have to learn to do
Be
that.
more like them.
Just enjoy life. We're all in it together, we can all play together. There's just so much happiness that can happen here if we just paid attention to it. I mean, just think about whales. They just swim around all day. They actually do nothing but sing. That's the only thing we know they actually act on is their songs. And so they sing to each other, for their hundreds of years of life. That's all they do. And that's meaningful enough to enjoy being there. I mean, there's something to learn about that, right?
That seems more evolved than what we do with each other.
Well, and it's all fear-based. Everything that we do is fear-based instead of love-based. If we should shift to the love and loving life and then see what's there, we would find enough to do and occupy our time, I do believe. But we got to put life back before we can even get there. If we don't help it stay, it will continue to evolve. It will have to go back and do stuff, but it won't be us. And our consciousness will go somewhere else. We'll still have to deal with the same issues. It just won't be here. We'll be on another planet.
It's so interesting. I love the idea that other life forms are more evolved than me, and that I need to learn from them, and the closer I can come to the essence of their nature, I come to the essence of my own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and vice versa. The closer you come to the essence of your own nature, the closer you are to them.
Yes. And that's a beautiful thing. That's more beautiful than our standard day-to-day lives.
Yeah, well, which is really boring for most of us, or, challenged and fraught with all sorts of problems, and scary, actually.
And all about money.
Well, and I mean, we've given up so much. I mean, that's one of the things about making your own livelihood, of growing your own food, knowing that you can really feed yourself, that you can take care of yourself in that basic way. And we've given away all of that capacity to the grocery store and to everything else. So we have no idea how we would live. We've lost those skills,
What's a term? What would we call what we're talking about now? The context within which we live and the context within which the rest of nature lives. Because we have these big brains, or whatever it is, our immaturity. I mean, keeping in mind our immaturity. I'm just looking for a word for the context within which we live, which is different than the context within which the rest of life lives.
Yeah, and I don't know that. I guess one of the questions I would think about in that context is, when I look at our history, there was a time when we lived closer to the land. We were more able to feel like we were taking care of ourselves because we grew our food. We knew as individuals that we had the capacity to take care of ourselves in that way. when we came together in larger groups, the larger the groups get, that becomes a challenge because you're spending your time doing that. You're not spending your time talking to each other or thinking. I'm thinking of Bali and some of those groups where they substituted celebrations. So they do, there's celebrations like every few months, there's a celebration that's got to be big that you've got to have art for. So you're always planning and creating art for the next celebration. So that's how you fill the time when you're not doing food stuff, where you're not really at that basic level of just trying to feed myself. Once you have that mastered to the point where that's not all of your life, all of the time of your day, then there's time to do other things. And so Bali's gone to art. So there's always these art expressions. You're always creating something for the next celebration and all of that. India does a lot of that as well. And they do a lot of prayer and a lot of ritual to fill that space. So the filling of space is an interesting thing to think about, how to do that in a way that is life enhancing and meaningful. And so the arts are certainly a way of doing that. Science has been a way of doing that. Spending time understanding things, can we say, generally. But when you put fear in there, then it's protection becomes a bigger whole. So without fear, and if we just stayed in love, how do we fill that time? Part of our strategy has been to trade off what we do, which is why some people raise food, some people make cloth, some people do other things that we need, and we trade that around so that we can spend our personal time exploring an interest, which is making cloth. I mean, I was a weaver, so making cloth is of interest. Hi, Mark. How do we understand that, and what is possible there? How can we do that in a way that still keeps life at the center, and not devolve into fear? Because when you get dependent on other people, there is a fear that creeps in there because you're losing control. You have to have relationships with those farmers to give you food. If that doesn't happen, then you don't eat. So that there has to be some mechanism there. Oh, here he comes.
Right. Have you maker movement?
Yeah.
Different communities, where the emphasis is on making things. It's on crafts but there's a certain element to it that's quite fascinating. They get one of the main foci of the group that's closest to me is to create floats for parades, and there are lots of parades a year. In other words, to promote celebration and to participate in celebration. I mean, it's absolutely, woven into the fabric of what they stand for. It's celebration. It brings the kids together with, adults, together with, the elders,
Right.
each. And I was really impressed by it.
Interesting. Yeah.
And of course, they're not out, making their own food, but the adults of the group, the kids are doing their job. They're going to school. The adults are doing their job. And then in some cases, almost every day, people come to the center and make things together.
I hadn't been aware of that, but what you're reminding me of is the role-playing games too that people get into. It's not just, there's another name for it there. It's all about the medieval times. And
Yeah.
so there's a whole group of people who
The Renaissance move, you know, they had
Renaissance, yeah, the Renaissance, yeah, yeah. So they, I mean, but it's a lifestyle. They may work to get money, but their life is really in these games that they play together. They come together on weekends, or they'll do a whole week-long retreat kind of thing where they joust and they have different tribes and they carry on all this medieval lifestyle, and they make their own clothes, they make their own armor, they do all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
same drive. Yeah, a friend of mine was Laura. I forget her title, but she was the High Mucky Muck Empress of the Oregon, Central Oregon grouping.
Yeah.
And she's very much into it, and
Yeah.
for years was, you know, very active. It's all about celebration, celebrating each other and celebrating life.
Yeah.
And the thing is that all kinds of spin-offs, friendships, and you know, that's where you can tap in with something like an idea like soils and really find responsive, you know, people.
Yeah.
You know, they already know you, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for those kind of organizations. I'm no longer going to the makers because they use too many chemicals, and I was allergic to spray painting and that sort of thing. It is.
Yeah. Blues are not good usually. Yeah. 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 No, there's lots to keep us busy.
The simplest statement that I can come up with is it's about our relationship with the land, or it's about our lack of relationship with the land.
Mhm.
I mean, I mean, the indigenous, I mean, the relationship with the land, our Western culture, by and large, I did have a relationship with the land, and management closed it down. You know, and I can't tell you how that still hurts because it's natural.
Well, and I keep wondering if there isn't another way to do it other than that way. I mean, you chose a garden and that didn't work. So is there another way to express and re-energize that relationship in a different way? What else could, because I mean, that's one of the thing about systems. There's always more than one way to do something.
Yeah.
I don't own the land, so I can't do what I would like.
So there's got to be another way.
There's a local garden club, and they simply asked if they could take over an intersection. You know, there's an island and an intersection where roads are, and they've been keeping it for years. And they garden it. Now it may there's just flowers. It may not seem to be productive in any way, but everyone sees it, and it's very productive.
Yeah.
And for that small group, I mean, it's maybe 5 or 6 people, you know, it's a form of community. I mean, there are all kinds of ways to find these things if you have the drive to do it.
Yeah.
I have a car.
Yeah, you have a car sometimes too. It's true.
Well, if you have a small community, somebody might have a car. It doesn't need to be you. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Boulder had an actual problem because they were really dependent on people in neighborhoods doing things like that. And then as those folks got old, the younger folks didn't take it up. And then the city was tasked with doing it or letting it go. And when I was in Boulder, that was a big issue, actually, of all the volunteer work that had been done by people suddenly was not being done because the younger folks didn't understand to do it. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
Is there a name of that project that I could that I could educate myself with?
Oh, I just think it's volunteer opportunities. There are tons of volunteer opportunities in every city. I mean, and I'll bet you there's a website in Santa Barbara that has volunteer on it, and you could just go and see what they're looking for. There's different groups that say we would like to do this if we had enough people, and that's a community and a focus.
I just want to go outside and play in the dirt and,
Yeah.
and plant and cultivate and
See who else is doing that.
do it in low income senior housing
Yeah,
development
yeah,
at this point.
yeah,
Yet.
yeah. Just
Because
well,
they-
see what's on the website. You have no idea. I mean, I don't know what's available, but I mean, I know Spokane has that website. They do things like if they're going to do graffiti removal or they're going to do trash removal or whatever, they put up that they're doing these projects and they want people to help. And people come down and help. They go into a neighborhood and just clean it up. They go around the city. They've got a schedule and all of that. That's how that happens.
We have clean up stuff too.
Because cleanup's the first, and then you can plant afterwards, or beautify in whatever way. So it's a natural extension of that, I think. Yeah.
I just want to go outside and play in the dirt and grow things. and because it builds community. When we had our little garden, we became friends.
Yeah. Well, you've got new management now.
No, we don't.
I thought you had a new person that took over.
The manager, not a new owner. It's the owner that's making the decision. It's the owner that says no to stuff. I can't even get a ping pong table in the community room. He said no.
Mm.
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to have ping pong. I mean, we've got the room in the community room. It's a community room. All there is a TV. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where, we go sometimes. But then they shut it down at 8 p.m. They lock the doors. I don't know. It's all
Yeah.
an adventure unfolding that goes wherever it goes, depending on a lot of factors.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah, because I like doing stuff and bringing people together and having a good time.
Yep.
You know?
Well, one
You were
thing
looking at,
I deplore is that old age is seen as being totally represented by fear.
yeah, warehousing. Yeah.
The fear of being warehoused, fear of all kinds of physical ailments, and all those things may be true. But so what? They don't have to
They don't
stop you
define.
from anything.
Yeah.
Not really. And
I'm full of life.
that is an issue for our time, since such a large percentage of our population now is tending toward the elder years. And this is obviously something that has to give way, fear, to give way to life. So we're not just talking about, the realms of the primeval realms of life. We're talking about, how individual humans live. And by the way, I'm very concerned about the fact that young people don't seem to have an innate sense of wanting to pitch in. They were never taught.
Mm-mm.
And they don't see the value of it. A lot of people that I meet, that's the case. But there are still many who were taught and and have huge enthusiastic response.
Right.
Well, like the makers that I was talking about. You don't get many teenagers there, but the children just love it.
Oh yeah, well, teenagers would,
Girls and boys, I mean, just absolutely, all over it.
yeah. Making floats would be fun.
I've got a couple of friends here who live here who have grandchildren that are just my delight, my playmates. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe a book club to bring people together.
Well, the book I'm reading now is how to be like a bird.
Yeah, I'm serious. Maybe there's other people would appreciate that. It would give you a foundation of folks to talk to.
Not a bad idea.
How to Be a Bird, was it written by a child?
No.
Usually they can tell you better than any adult.
It comes out of a group of women.
Wow.
Yeah. But I appreciate being with the two of you for sparky ideas like this that stimulate me.
So Mark, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like this is a pretty rich conversation, and it's hard to know exactly what to chime in on. I mean, whether it be the realities of having disengaged younger people, or I guess as it was articulated, sort of the middle younger people, or whether it's sort of, I guess in some ways, like for people who care and have the capacity to be doing things and want those things to matter, how to be doing that, and coalescing with others around it, so it's it has all the attributes with like things that are like mattering or happening, and it's being done as part of a group that might have an identity that that has a certain feel and emotion in relationship with it. It unfortunately feels like it's harder than we like might want or need it to be. It kind of feels like a bit of a conundrum, but it's, in some ways, having said that though, like the ideas that I've heard could be part of resolving that conundrum. So perhaps that's sort of one way that they're helpful.
Well, I'll say one thing about some of the things we've been talking about are so local and so impromptu by small groups of adamant enthusiasts that they don't make the news. I mean, maybe at a parade they might get a picture, but I don't think a lot of people know these sorts of things are going on. That are, we're lucky here in Atlanta because every year what's it called? There's this big conference that goes on for 5 days. It's all about fantasy.
Oh yeah, sci-fi.
No, it isn't Comic-Con. It's just this crazy thing. And there's a huge parade down through the center of downtown.
And they all wear costumes, right?
Star Wars people, we got trolls, we got nymphs, we got, and then people playing we'll have, what do you call it? The guys who rode the steps, with, the conquering hordes. We have people dressed up like warriors,
Mongol.
the Mongol hordes. It's crazy and lovely, and attracts thousands of people to come watch. But the conference is going on too, and you can talk to people in the streets because they're wandering around in cosplay costume. I mean, I see this as a reaction to what the society has come in many ways.
Yeah.
And a lovely one, great fun.
Yeah, play. We don't play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't play. I like to play. My hobby is cutting pictures out of magazines and having these little beings interact with each other, and then taking a picture of it and putting it on the wall.
Yeah. There are many people who've actually made money. There's a woman who does pictures of squirrels. She's figured out how to create sets, and then they put stuff in it so the squirrels do interesting things, like look at teacups and, that kind of thing. And then she takes pictures, and she's made cards and posters, and people love them. Yeah. I mean, I've seen a number of things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thought.
Yeah.
I'll integrate that thought into my cuttings.
Yeah. Oh, you could do a podcast with your poetry too. It's another one.
I know I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You could probably find someone who'd be very willing. I mean, locally, who has the equipment to do a simple podcast. I mean, you can spend hundreds of $1,000s putting together a studio.
You don't have to do anything either.
But you don't need to do that. You can do it very simply. Probably more equipment than you have, Ani. But
I don't know. I just have a computer. I don't have anything else. I've never bought a microphone or anything. So, I mean, you can. And
you're
I've
not
seen people
participating in the American economy, are you?
I don't. I can't. I don't have the money to do it. So I figure out another way, or I do it without. I mean, yeah, money doesn't need to be a stop. It really doesn't.
True.
It really doesn't. It just means you need to be more creative and figure out another way. That's all. But that's part of the fun, frankly. Yeah.
And YouTube is very easy to,
Yep.
to post upon. I mean, I've never done it, but I mean, it's quite
Just uploading a video. Yeah, it's not a problem. Yep, and you can do live on YouTube too, although I haven't done it, but you can. Yep. In fact, I probably need to expand to that, but I haven't done that yet. Yeah, I'm finding actually the videos, I've not put up videos like I did, because it's not the video. The videos are easy and I get ideas, and that's fine. But then once the video's done, it's getting it up. All of that work I've not had the time, felt like I had the time to do it. Yeah.
Fascinating conversation today. I'm left here with the image of cutting out people out of magazines and putting them or staging them in particular orientations. I'm quite taken by that. It's almost like takes me back to something I think I did in childhood. So very grateful for that. Sorry that I couldn't participate as fully today as I might have hoped, but I now have to run also. Guess it's the middle of the hour.
Okay.
So yeah, wishing everyone well for the weekend, and Chat next week.
Yeah, happy
Thank
Easter.
you. Oh,
Happy Easter.
Yeah.
and by the way, I won't be able to make it next week.
Oh, okay.
I've got a
Okay.
conference all week.
Okay. What's your conference on?
Well, it's 7 of us who are gathering together from Korea and the West and here in town, and just to talk some things over.
Wow, wonderful.
It's small, but old friends. And so
Very
it's
nice.
it's a gathering, I guess, but we will be conferring. We'll probably be playing too.
Enjoy.
Sure. Very good.
So, but you know, this is a life force, you know, what we
Yeah.
do here.
Yes, it
To
is.
me, we're doing a lot. It's not just words. Mark was making that very clear. It's not just words. It could be, but it's not the way it carries through us. I'm gonna go too, because
Well, it is time. That's
job
we're over
came through
again.
that I've got to work on this afternoon, but
Yeah, me too.
thank you once again. Thank you very much.
Our soul gathering will be again next week. And bless you, Robert, and what
I'll be there in spirit, definitely, but not in face and voice.
Okay.
All right, see you soon.
Bye-bye.